They were on the road, 27th minute. They're up 2-0. They're looking fantastic. And then paying homage here to Gareth Wheeler, it was wheels off in that game afterwards because there were 5 straight goals that New York ended up scoring. Toronto, sure, they made it interesting, guys. I mean, even Michael Bradley ends up getting a 90th minute goal. It ends up being 5-4. Could they walk away with a point? They do not. They score 4 on the road, but they come away with a goose egg. What happened in that game, Gareth? Let's first get a big picture on a bananas game that ended up 5-4.
Well, if you want more goals in Major League Soccer, maybe they should play every game in a baseball stadium. What? Because then it turns out to be like a baseball score. Look, it's part and parcel of where Toronto FC are at right now. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. When you get a 2-goal lead, you expect your team to go on, maybe play a little bit more reserved, play a little bit more safe, but I'm not sure that TFC have the luxury of doing that with players really learning their position at both fullback positions right now, a team that's not fully fit, and a team that needs much more established experience in the side. The formation was a talking point coming out of the game because Bradley switched between having 3 at the back and 4 at the back. At this point, I just don't think that he has enough reliable players in the midfield right now. So I think the squad is still very much under construction. Yes, there were some concerning moments in the game just in terms of far post marking. Remember, this is an MLS Cup champion. This is a team in New York City who scored 6 goals last week. So I'm kind of looking at things more glass half full than glass half empty here. The fact that they did fight for the 90 plus minutes, they did kind of push right up until the end. I do think there's some good fight and spirit in this team, but are they a complete outfit in terms of their squad makeup right now? Absolutely not. So it's going to sound lame. It's going to sound repetitive, but patience needs to be practiced still here.
I want to jump in here, Ollie, with you because, you know, when you look at goals with Toronto FC, so Jesus Jimenez gets another goal, and he's now tied for the league lead with 6 goals. So right away you start to think offense doesn't appear to be the problem, right? Defensively, that's where the breakdowns are happening. Are you looking at the midfield when it comes to Toronto FC, or are you looking at what we seem to see as a makeshift back line? I mean, is Salcedo living up to the billing?
It would be difficult for anyone, to be honest, to kind of hold that unit together, particularly against a team as strong as New York City. Like the centre-back position around Salcedo, and even with Salcedo, because of his suspensions, hasn't been stable. As Will's mentioned, you've got 2 very young fullbacks. I really like Kosi Thompson, but he's clearly learning the position defensively. The midfield, I just don't think is offering all that much protection right now. You see in transition, there's a lack of protection. It's hard to stop attacks before they reach that back line. You see, even when teams are possessing the ball 30 yards from goal, that there's just not a whole lot of resistance. Like TFC have been quite prone to like longer range efforts as well. So there's a lot going on back there. I think Bob Bradley has clearly, improved the team in possession in a massive way. And you can see some really good things that have led to a statistic like that with Jimenez coming flying out of the blocks. But defensively, it's still a big work in progress. And when you add Insigne into the team, again, another player with a lot of talent, but you might not expect to do a whole lot of running defensively, it's not going to make it any easier either. So that's what he's going to be battling with, I think, even as this season goes on, is finding that right balance.
Look, has it been the best start to his, integration with TFC? No, but I don't look at him being the real problem in the group. I just think you need a lot more experienced players around him. Now, it is worth asking the question, is it best to spend your designated player money on a center back? For me, I subscribe to the theory, no. You want to kind of...
That wasn't really by choice, though, right? It was
I know,
Soteldo.
exactly. That was because it's Soteldo. It's an either or. Like, that was a very difficult situation, finding a player to come in order to, get rid of that player. So, it's kind of makeshift stuff right now. Hopefully, at some point, that contract can be shifted to a TAM, a different type of contract to maybe alleviate some of that pain. But man, this is still a work in progress. And again, I'm looking at a glass half full, Andy, because this team had, 3 wins from 4 games, points in 4 consecutive games coming into this one. So for me, where TFC are at right now, the return has been decent.
Opposite spectrum, it has not been good for the Vancouver Whitecaps. They were taking on Austin FC. Max Rudy with a brace in that one to defeat Vancouver 3-0. 3rd consecutive loss for them. Everyone loved Vanni Sartini last year. He's got a great personality. It's larger than life, but already now it seems to perhaps maybe be rubbing people the wrong way because it's not happening on the field. Ollie, how does Sartini right the ship? Because dare I say, are we hearing the Sartini out chants already? Like, is that kind of already happening in Vancouver?
It's once again, it feels like we're back in that place with the Vancouver Whitecaps where you're asking like the existential questions about how they move forward from here. And it's so early in the season that it seems crazy to be doing that. And maybe they can turn it around with this group, but already you're starting to wonder, is this going anywhere, even with a different coach?
The two reporters doesn't bother me because it's kind of indicative of the industry today, where basically all sports are being covered less, especially this game. That's why places like One Soccer are so necessary in order to create and build this industry, because this is a problem that we've seen coming for a long time. I'm in the TFC press box on a regular basis. There's barely anyone in there, so
it's a problem for them as well.
Yeah, it's a problem for all the teams. But as for what's going on the field, by the way, it's not Sartini out, Andy. It's Vanny out. We heard that in Toronto for years for whatever reason. I guess people didn't like winning. But look,
they just don't like the name Vanny. I don't know.
The team on the field isn't good enough. Like, you expect this team, they were starting to build a positive vibe around that team at the end of last season. The people of Vancouver seemingly were starting to rally around them a little bit. They were singing on the field, lean on me. It was kind of romantic. Like they were a likable group at the end of last season, but you need to build off that. It's like Burnley's won a couple games now in the Premier League. Is Michael Jackson the coach? Is this the team? No. You try to take advantage of the platform that was provided and then build off that. That goes for the squad. I look at their fullback positions are nowhere good enough. And in playing this formation, you need top players in those roles. Nowhere near good enough. Jake Nervinsky, like how he's in the side. Russell Tybert, like these are just like role players for me that too much is being asked of them. Is the manager the problem? He's one of the many problems going on right now with the Vancouver Whitecaps. There's no easy solution. It starts with recruitment, then it works its way down.
I think it was Stand By Me, by the way. Lean
Stand
on
By
Me.
Yes.
It's this season, yeah.
Lean on me.
No.
Maybe that needs to be the song right now, actually.
No.
Exactly.
This is not singing time with Gareth, because we're going to wrap up the MLS chat with CF Montreal. Here's the positive. So they get a 1-1 draw against Philly, right? So how about that? The top team in the league loses to TFC. Now they draw against CF Montreal. So that's now 5 straight matches for Montreal where they've gone undefeated. They're tied with Toronto, 5th in the standings. And now, Wheels, they play 6 of their next 8 games at home. So how crucial is it to just take advantage of this stretch of Stade Saputo?
Good. It's like, look, slow and steady. Like when Ollie speaks about the Whitecaps, what's their identity? We know what the CF Montreal's identity is, even though some people don't like that identity and the branding and all that thing. But we actually know how they play on the field. And full credit to Wilfried Nancy. Unlike Sartini, who was given the job being like the third man in charge of the, under the previous manager in Vancouver, Wilfried Nancy, just worked together with Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry wasn't fired. He stepped away, and they built off that foundation, that identity, and they've continued to kind of move in that direction. And they made some really good acquisitions as well to fill holes in this team. They're getting healthy. The Champions League is in the rearview window. Every game, it looks like they're in it. There's some value. They've been their own worst enemy yet sometimes over the course of the season, but slow and steady. It's a marathon for this team, and they're absolutely moving in the right direction.
There has been continuity from Thierry Henry to Wilfried Nancy, but also at the same time, I think Nancy has taken it forward massively. I think he's been a real revelation for them as someone that maybe people didn't know much about, but had clearly done his kind of homework and worked his way up to that position and has been a massive success for me. And again, it's exactly what we were talking about with Vancouver. It's not that hard when you have a proper plan of what you want to do, how you want to play, what your identity is on the pitch. It makes everything else so much easier, because then you can go out into the transfer market and you can say a player like Georgi Mihailovic, who's maybe not a great fit for the team he's playing in Chicago, but you understand the qualities he has, some of the things he offers, and how that fits exactly into your team, because you know how you're going to play and where he's going to fit into it. And you get a player like that who's been an absolute revelation. So I'm glad they, stuck through. Obviously, what was a key start to the season. They're not a perfect team. Defensively, they're still conceding too many goals and there's areas to improve, but you can see the progress and you can see the idea of what they're trying to do every single week.